They thought she was just another quiet face on the late-night bus. A simple woman in sneakers and a hoodie, walking home alone under the flickering streetlights. But when 5 men stepped out of the shadows, smirking, thinking she'd be an easy target, they had no idea that under that hoodie was a fighter who'd trained for over a decade. No idea that tonight they weren't hunting prey. They'd just woken a lioness. Stay with me, because what happened next, no one saw it coming. It had been a long shift at the diner. Claire Monroe wiped her hands on her apron, clocked out, and zipped up her hoodie against the chilly night air. The streets were nearly empty as she made her way to the bus stop, her sneakers crunching on scattered leaves. The last bus of the night was late again. She didn't mind. Waiting gave her time to think, time to breathe. To anyone watching, Claire was just another tired waitress, worn down by life. But there was something about the way she stood, feet planted, shoulders squared, that hinted at something deeper. The bus finally rumbled into view. Claire climbed aboard, slid into a back seat, and pulled out her headphones. The city lights blurred past the window as they drove toward the outskirts, where apartment buildings gave way to empty lots and broken fences. She got off 2 stops before her usual stop. A shortcut, she told herself, but also a test. Claire had felt it earlier, eyes watching her as she left the diner. The kind of stare that made the hairs on your neck stand up. She could have called a cab, could have waited for daylight, but something inside her dared them. Let's see what you've got. As she turned onto a narrow alley, voices floated out from the shadows. Low laughter, the scrape of boots against concrete. Claire's pulse quickened, not with fear, but with focus. "Hey, sweetheart," a voice called out. 5 figures stepped into the dim light. Young men, tattoos crawling up their necks, chains glinting under the flickering street lamp. "Out here all alone, you must be lost." Claire stopped, pulling out one earbud. "No, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." The leader grinned, flashing gold teeth. "Tough girl. Huh, maybe we'll teach you some manners." Claire's lips curved into a quiet smile. She set her backpack down beside her feet, rolled her shoulders back, and slowly pulled off her hoodie, revealing toned arms, scarred knuckles, and a steely gaze that didn't flinch. "You're welcome to try," she said softly. And in that moment, the air shifted. They had no idea what was coming. The gang hesitated for a split second, just long enough for doubt to flicker in their eyes. Claire caught it. She always did. She'd been trained to read that moment, the tiny crack in bravado before a fight. "Yo, what's this?" one of them scoffed, but his voice wavered. "You think you're some kind of fighter?" The leader stepped forward, taller than the others, a jagged scar running down his cheek. "Nah, man, she's bluffing." He cracked his knuckles. "Let's make it quick." Claire didn't move. Not yet. She watched their stances, the way the leader leaned too far forward, the guy on the left shifting his weight onto his back foot, the nervous one twirling a chain like a whip. Weak spots. Every one of them. "You sure about that?" Claire asked quietly. "Because I've had a long day, and breaking bones wasn't on my schedule." They laughed. But it wasn't the cocky laughter from before. This was thinner, more uncertain. Still, the leader surged forward, swinging a heavy punch aimed straight at her jaw. Claire ducked. Fast. Fluid. Her body coiled like a spring. She stepped inside his reach, grabbed his arm, and twisted hard. The crack of his elbow echoed in the alley. He howled, collapsing to his knees. "What the?" The second guy lunged, chain whipping toward her face. Claire sidestepped, caught the chain midair, yanked him off balance, and drove her knee into his stomach. He crumpled. The other 3 froze, their tough act crumbling with every second. "Bro," what is this one shouted. backing away. Claire turned slowly, her breath steady, eyes locked on them like a predator sizing up prey. "This is me," she said calmly, "and you're in way over your heads." The nervous one bolted, tripping over a trash can as he fled into the night. "Run," Claire advised the others, "unless you want matching souvenirs." The last two exchanged a panicked look and followed their friend, disappearing into the darkness. Claire exhaled, rolling her neck. "Amateurs." Behind her, the leader groaned, still clutching his shattered arm. "Who are you?" he gasped. Claire bent down, staring him dead in the eyes. "I'm nobody." She picked up her backpack. "And you just made the worst mistake of your life." Claire walked away from the alley, her footsteps echoing softly against the brick walls, adrenaline still humming beneath her skin. But she wasn't out of trouble yet. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message lit up the screen. "He knows you're here. Get out." Now. Claire's stomach twisted. The message was from Raphael, the only one from her old gym who still checked in on her after she vanished from the fight scene. If he knew, it meant Victor knew. And if Victor knew... She spun around, scanning the street. Empty. Too empty. A black SUV turned the corner, headlights off, rolling toward her like a shark through dark water. Claire's pulse kicked up. "Of course," she muttered. The SUV stopped. The passenger window rolled down. Inside sat a man in a tailored suit, dark sunglasses hiding his eyes even at night. "Miss Lawson," he greeted smoothly. "We've been looking for you." "Not hard enough." Claire shot back, already taking a step back, calculating distance, angles, escape routes. The man smiled faintly. "No need for theatrics. Mr. Victor just wants a conversation." "Tell Victor I'm retired," Claire said, voice flat. "No fights. No deals. No favors." The door opened. Another man stepped out, huge, thick-necked, hands like concrete blocks. "Come quietly," he rumbled. Claire sighed. "Yeah, that's not happening." Concrete hands lunged. Claire moved like water. She sidestepped, hooked his wrist, flipped him over her hip onto the pavement with a bone-shaking slam. His groan was deep and broken. The driver cursed, leaping out of the car. Claire met him halfway, a spinning elbow crashing into his temple. He dropped instantly. The suited man stayed seated, lips curling into a smirk. "Still the prodigy. I see." He tapped a button on his phone. Suddenly, from the shadows, more figures emerged. 5, 6, maybe 7, all armed. Claire wiped a trickle of blood from her lip, smirking right back. "If Victor wanted me alive, he should have sent more." The suited man's grin widened. "He didn't." Claire squared her stance, fists up, eyes blazing. "Then let's dance." And just like that, the night exploded into chaos. The first attacker rushed her with a steel baton, swinging wide. Claire ducked under it, snapping a punch into his ribs, then a lightning-fast uppercut that knocked him cold before he hit the ground. Another came at her from behind. She spun, catching his wrist mid-swing, twisting it until he screamed and dropped the knife. She kneed him hard in the gut, sending him sprawling. But they kept coming. 2 more flanked her. One grabbed her arm. The other aimed a punch at her face. Claire twisted her body, using the first man's grip to lever herself up and over, flipping both of them off balance. She landed behind them, shoved them into each other, then drove an elbow into the nearest man's spine. "Come on," she barked, breathing hard, adrenaline roaring through her veins. The last 3 hesitated. One pulled a gun. Claire froze for half a heartbeat, then a trash can lid flew through the air. smacking the gunman's hand. He dropped the weapon with a yell. A shadow leaped down from a fire escape. "Raphael, you didn't think I'd let you have all the fun, did you?" He grinned, tossing her a pipe. Claire caught it without missing a beat. "Took you long enough. Traffic," he quipped, as he squared off beside her. The remaining men regrouped. Claire and Raphael stood back to back, ready. "You know they're not going to stop, right?" Raphael murmured. "They will," Claire replied darkly, "when Victor runs out of bodies." The suited man stayed seated in the SUV, calmly watching the chaos unfold, as if he were sipping wine at a show. He pressed another button on his phone. Sirens wailed in the distance. Raphael swore. "Cops!" "No," Claire said grimly. "Private security. Victor's personal dogs." Headlights flared at the end of the alley. More SUVs. More muscle. Raphael looked at her. "What's the plan?" Claire's eyes hardened. "We stop running." He blinked. "You're serious." She gave a cold smile. "I'm done hiding. Let's finish this." And as the next wave of enemies charged, Claire stepped forward to meet them, fire blazing in her eyes. The alley erupted into chaos. Claire met the first charging thug with a spinning kick that cracked across his jaw, sending him flying into a stack of crates. Before he could hit the ground, she pivoted, whipping the metal pipe into another attacker's kneecap. The man howled, collapsing. "Two down," Raphael muttered, blocking a punch from a burly man twice his size. He ducked under a wild swing and slammed his elbow into the man's throat. Make that three? The private security team moved differently, tactical, organized, not the sloppy brawlers from before. "They've got training," Raphael warned, eyeing their coordinated advance. "Not as much as me," Claire said coldly, stepping forward. The leader aimed a taser at her. She sidestepped, catching the electrodes midair, yanking hard and pulling him straight into a brutal knee strike. His helmet cracked from the impact. Another aimed a baton at her ribs. She caught it under her arm, twisted, and flipped the man over her shoulder, slamming him onto the pavement. "They're good," Raphael admitted, swinging a broken 2x4 into a guard's helmet. "But you're something else, Claire." Claire's eyes never left the fight. "They underestimated me." Like everyone always does. A flash of headlights swept across the alley. Victor himself stepped out of the SUV, impeccably dressed, calm as ever. He clapped slowly. "Impressive. Ms. Donovan." His voice carried, smooth as silk, but sharp as a knife. "But this ends now." Behind him, more men filed out dozens. Claire's grip tightened on the pipe. Her arms ached. Her legs felt heavy, but her mind was razor clear. "I'm not backing down, Victor." He smirked. "No, I don't expect you to, but you're outnumbered, outgunned." Claire glanced at Raphael, then back at Victor. "Maybe, but you forgot one thing." "Oh," Victor raised an eyebrow. She stepped forward, standing tall despite the blood on her face, the bruises blooming under her skin. "I've already won," a distant rumble echoed. Victor's smirk faltered. Then the warehouse behind them exploded. Flames lit the night sky as sirens wailed louder. And Claire watched, calm and unflinching, as Victor's empire began to burn. The explosion's heat kissed Claire's skin as flames danced in the night. Smoke billowed high, sirens screaming closer. Victor's smug expression crumbled into shock. "What? What did you do?" he demanded, stepping back as the warehouse collapsed inward, fire swallowing everything. Claire dropped the bent metal pipe at her feet. "You were so busy sending your men after me, you never noticed Raphael planting the charges." Raphael emerged from behind a dumpster, remote detonator still in hand, grinning despite the blood dripping from his lip. Boom. Victor's men froze, staring at the inferno consuming their stockpiles, their records, their illegal empire. "You burned my operation." Victor's voice cracked, disbelief mixing with fury. "No," Claire corrected, taking a step closer. "I burned your evidence. Every file tying innocent people to your crimes, gone. Every ledger you kept on families you blackmailed. Ash." "You idiot," Victor snarled. "You ruined your own chance at leverage." Claire's smile was cold, quiet. "I wasn't here to negotiate." The distant wail of sirens grew louder, closer. Police cars, fire trucks, unmarked SUVs speeding toward the alley. Victor's men began to scatter, panic replacing loyalty. "You'll never make it stick." Victor spat, grabbing Claire's arm roughly. "I still own the judges." "The cops?" "The city council." Claire stared into his furious eyes, unwavering. "Not anymore!" A helicopter spotlight swept over them, blindingly bright. A voice boomed from a loudspeaker. "This is the FBI. Drop your weapons, hands in the air." Victor's grip slackened. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Claire leaned in, voice steady. "I didn't burn the only copies, Victor. I gave the feds everything. They've been watching you since the minute I walked into your office." He spun wildly as agents flooded the alley, shouting commands, forcing his remaining men to their knees. "No, no, no, no." Claire stepped back as handcuffs snapped around Victor's wrists. Raphael clapped her on the shoulder. "Told you he'd never see it coming." Claire exhaled slowly, watching Victor's empire crumble under flashing red and blue lights. "This isn't revenge," she murmured. "This is justice." Claire stood quietly on the rooftop overlooking the chaos below. FBI agents led Victor away in cuffs, shouting into radios as his empire unraveled in real time. The fire still glowed against the night sky, illuminating the wreckage of everything he'd built. But as sirens faded into the distance, her phone buzzed in her pocket. A single text from an unknown number. "This isn't over." Claire's jaw tightened. "Figures." Beside her, Raphael leaned on the ledge, nursing a busted rib. "You think Victor's people will try to finish what he started?" Claire glanced at him, then back at the city sprawling under the stars. "They'll try," she said softly. "But they're not ready." Raphael smirked. "Because they think you're just a woman with a lucky punch." Claire's lips curved into a quiet smile. "Let them think that—" Far below, reporters swarmed the scene. Headlines were already breaking. Crime boss Victor Markov arrested in federal sting. Anonymous informant credited with exposing multi-state crime syndicate. But none of them knew the full story. None of them knew the training, the nights in underground gyms, the fights she'd endured to get here. A low hum caught her ear. Claire turned to see a sleek black SUV pulling up to the curb. A tall woman in a navy suit stepped out, flashing a badge in the streetlight. "Agent Morgan," Raphael muttered. "Here comes the cleanup crew." Agent Morgan strode up the stairs to the rooftop, her expression unreadable. "Claire Monroe," she said. "The Bureau owes you—" Claire shook her head. "You don't owe me anything. Just make sure he never hurts another family." Agent Morgan hesitated. "He wasn't the top, you know." She handed Claire a sealed envelope. "There's more. Higher up. More dangerous. This doesn't end with Markov." Claire accepted the envelope, weighing it in her hands. "It never does. Does it?" Agent Morgan's gaze softened. "But it starts with someone like you." Claire tucked the envelope inside her jacket. "Then let's finish it." As the lights from the crime scene flickered against the skyline, Claire turned toward the unknown road ahead, resolve burning brighter than the fires below. The next morning, Claire stood at the edge of an old boxing gym, its neon sign flickering Cruz's boxing like a heartbeat refusing to fade. Inside, the smell of sweat, leather, and resolve filled the air. She watched as a young girl, no older than 10, threw punches at a heavy bag under the guidance of an elderly coach. Her form was raw, but her determination unmistakable. Claire stepped inside. The coach glanced up, his eyes widening in recognition. "Claire Monroe," he said hoarsely. "Didn't think I'd see you back here. I needed to see where it started," Claire replied softly. He nodded toward the girl. "She's got fire. Reminds me of someone else." Claire smiled faintly. "Keep her safe," he chuckled. "Kid's tougher than she looks. Like you." Her phone vibrated again, another message from the unknown number. "You made enemies." "Big ones." Claire exhaled slowly, pocketing the phone. "That's their problem." A news alert popped on the gym's old TV in the corner. Federal investigation widens after Markov's arrest. Sources say international ties suspected. Claire's gaze sharpened. "International?" she murmured. Suddenly, Raphael appeared at the doorway, a manila folder in his hand. "Figured you'd be here." He handed her the folder. Names, accounts, offshore ties. "Took all night to crack?" Claire flipped it open. Her breath hitched as she scanned the list. "This goes deeper than I thought." "Way deeper," Raphael confirmed. Markov was just the gatekeeper. Whoever's above him, they're already moving. Claire closed the folder and looked at the young girl still pounding away at the heavy bag. "Then we move faster." "You really gonna keep going?" Raphael asked, half smiling. Claire slung her jacket over her shoulder. "Did you think I'd stop?" He laughed under his breath. "Didn't think so." As they stepped out into the morning sun, Claire turned back once more to the gym, the place where fists met fate, where strength was forged from struggle. "This isn't about revenge anymore," she said quietly. Raphael tilted his head. "Then what's it about?" Claire's eyes hardened. "Making sure no girl ever has to fight alone again." And with that, they walked into the day toward whatever fight waited next. Sometimes, the quietest warrior carries the loudest victory. Claire didn't just fight for herself. She fought for every woman who's ever been underestimated, dismissed, or threatened. And in the end, it wasn't just her fists they regretted underestimating. It was her unbreakable will. Because strength isn't what you show in the ring. It's what you carry every single day. If Claire's story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories of hidden strength, shocking twists, and justice served. Tell us, where are you watching from? And have you ever had to stand up when no one expected you to drop your story below? We read every single one. Stay tuned, because next time the underdog might be you.